Space was endless, glittering with stars whose light told 1,000 stories, but for Jim Hawkins there was always only one frontier he struggled to navigate: himself. Growing up under the shadow of a sky stretching infinitely above, Jim had fought hard to carve out his place as he transitioned into the man he always knew he was. It wasn't easy. Life rarely was on the old port of Montresor. The stares, the whispers, the questions, they weighed heavy. But the freedom of the Ethereum, charting a ship across love and firestorms, with solar winds at your back, that freedom made it all worth it. Ever since his journey aboard the RLS Legacy, Jim had carried with him the memory of John Silver, the cyborg pirate who had mentored him, tormented him, and ultimately saved his life. Silver had been an enigma, tough as the iron that made up half his body, but with a heart that could rival the warmth of Montresor's twin suns. Years had passed since their adventure with young Jim learning the ropes at the Interstellar Academy, but he couldn't quite forget the older man. A strange ache would catch in his chest when he thought of Silver, as though there were things left unsaid. He tried to push it aside, bury it beneath academic honors and daring cadet missions, but some truths were like stars in the night, always there, whether you looked or not. The reunion came unexpectedly. Jim, now in his early 20s and cutting a confident yet roguish figure as a shipboard navigator, found himself aboard a trade vessel heading toward the Polaris cluster. The job was simple: chart a hazardous route near a collapsing supernova and test an experimental sail design. But space, with its infinite vastness, has a curious way of making the strangest encounters feel inevitable. One evening, as Jim leaned over the main deck rail fiddling with a maintenance droid, a voice echoed behind him, rough yet familiar.
Well, if it ain't Jimmy Boy, or should I say Captain Hawkins these days.
Silver?
There, in the faint glow of the Ethereum beyond, stood John Silver. His grin was sharp as ever, though age had carved a few more lines into his face.
In the flesh, or what's left of it.
It wasn't just the surprise of seeing him. It was the sudden flood of everything. The boy Jim had been, clinging to the idea of a father figure while carving out his own identity. And now the man he was standing before, the one person whose approval seemed to matter most. And beneath all that, a different kind of warmth. One he hadn't let himself put a name to until now. The days aboard the ship stretched and folded into something strange and beautiful. Silver, it turned out, was working as a navigator for hire, freelancing on small crews while staying just out of reach of his old pirating foes. Jim offered him a berth on his expedition, claiming they could use another experienced sailor, though part of him knew better. He just wanted Silver there. They fell into their old rhythms, but something had shifted. There was a tenderness in the way Silver handed Jim the star charts, tracing constellations, as he explained some rare phenomenon that only veteran spacers knew. And for Jim, there was a stark intimacy in the way he'd catch himself watching Silver across the deck, the faint whir of his cybernetic arm as he worked. It wasn't just admiration anymore. It was something deeper. One night, as they floated beneath the shadow of a gas giant, Jim sat on the deck with Silver at his side. The others had gone to sleep, leaving them with only the quiet hum of the vessel and the distant, ever-present glow of stars. "You know, you've done well for yourself, lad," Silver said quietly, glancing at Jim. His mechanical hand rested on the edge of a glowing navigational tool, dimly reflecting the soft light on his face. "Better than most would have thought. Got the Academy! Respect! A ship of your own! Makes an old sailor proud to see it." Jim smiled faintly, though his heart tumbled like he was back on Treasure Planet's gravity well. "I had a good teacher," he said. Silver's gaze softened, but he didn't reply immediately. Silence stretched between them for a moment, and then another, until Jim finally spoke again. "Silver," he hesitated. "Do you ever think about that day, back on the Legacy?" Silver leaned back against the deck railing, his human eye narrowing slightly as the memories rippled across his expression. Silver leaned back against the deck railing, his human eye narrowing slightly as the memories rippled across his expression. "Aye, Jimbo. Not a day goes by I don't wonder if I made the right call letting you go. You were something special, lad. Always were." Jim swallowed hard, his heart pounding. "I don't think you let me go," he said slowly, turning to meet Silver's gaze. "Not really. You stayed with me even when you weren't there." Silver's breath hitched, a barely audible thing that Jim wouldn't have caught were it not for the sudden stillness in his demeanor. The older man turned, facing Jim directly now, and the weight of his gaze was like gravity itself. "Jim," Silver said, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. "Don't say things you think I want to hear! Say what you mean!" And there it was, the moment Jim had been avoiding, the truth he'd been skimming over like a shallow Ethereum wave. He didn't falter, though his voice came out soft, raw. "I think I've been chasing you, Silver. Not just what you taught me, or how you looked out for me. You. The way you see me, believe in me." His voice dropped even lower. "I don't want to keep pretending it's just in my head. I care about you, more than I thought I could." For the first time in Jim's life, Silver didn't have an immediate reply. His cybernetic eye whirred faintly as he looked away, his human hand tightening its grip on the railing as though grounding himself. When he looked back, there was something new, something vulnerable in his expression. "Jim," he began, his voice rough but steady. "You've grown into more than just the lad I knew back then. You're incredible, stronger than I ever was when I was your age. And I care about you too, more than I've let myself admit. But," he hesitated, his words faltering like a ship caught in a storm, "there's years' worth of mistakes between us. I'd never forgive myself if I dragged you into my wreckage." Jim reached out, his fingers brushing the rough, mechanical edges of Silver's hand. "We've both made mistakes, Silver, but I'm not scared of your wreckage. I'm already in it, by choice." Silver exhaled shakily, searching Jim's face for something unsaid. Whatever he found there gave him the courage to let his cybernetic fingers curl around Jim's. For the first time in years, space didn't feel so impossibly vast. It felt like a promise, a new frontier. Together,